If anyone notices, we're in a new space, and this is Tony's first real podcast. How does it feel?
I really like it. I have to have kind of my head on a swivel because I have the producer over to my left, so I got to do a little bit of cocking this way. But I like Peter, Danny, Sydney spot a lot. It's going to be really nice.
Yeah, I know.
Because I can have a conversation with you, and I can kind of look you this way. But
you have to look. You have to look Danny in the eye now.
Which is fine.
They can't avert his gaze.
I like that because I gotta admit, in the 3-person setup over there that we have, I feel like I'm never looking at the camera, and now I feel like I'm looking at the camera way more. And I'm watching your highlights, the Logan Hensler, Macia Phillips, and Rombach clips. I'm like, man, they look really good, and they're way less comfortable on camera and with a microphone in hand than you and I are. Not because we're better, we're just way more used to doing it.
No, I'm better.
I'm excited.
I don't think it's a stretch to say that we're better than Jacob Rombach, Maceo Phillips.
Yeah.
Or Logan Hensler holding a microphone. Yeah.
No, I just feel like I feel way more comfortable. I feel like this camera thing is going to be
You don't have to crane your neck as much.
There's no neck craning.
That was the only issue I noticed with Jossie and Peter is that Jossie actually was like physically turning towards me sometimes.
Yeah.
Because like if I was talking about something.
No offense to Ryan or you. I'm just, because you guys are just kind of piping in.
You don't really have to look at me.
Yeah, you're kind of piping in.
So what we're saying is that the chair that I'm in right now, which will be my chair for the rest of the year, is the power chair.
I'm going to be in that chair.
In radio, the power chair looks at the control room, and that's where I am right now. And I've already farted in this chair, so... If you want to sit in a dusty cloud of my beef and potatoes,
that is gross. That's so gross.
I bet you don't want to. I bet you don't want to sit here now.
Well, I don't even know if I've farted in either of these chairs.
You've never farted?
I don't think I've farted in either of these chairs. Now I feel like it's competition.
To fart in the chairs?
To fart in the chairs.
Please don't make the competition.
You haven't seen what else I'm going to bring into this office yet.
Oh, I don't want to know.
Candles?
No candles.
It's going to be a candle?
No.
It's going to be a candle?
No candles.
Why not a candle?
No, I'm just...
What's wrong with the candle?
I just don't
Peter wants this to be more intimate.
I'm a scentless person, not a scent person. I don't like any scents.
Not even scent of a woman?
Not scent of a woman, not scent of deodorant. If I could have everything scentless,
he doesn't like when people wear deodorant, so we don't have to wear any anymore.
You don't wear
What'd
deodorant?
You say? What'd you say?
Tony Scott doesn't wear deodorant?
You don't like when people wear deodorant, so we won't wear any
anymore.
No,
just use scentless deodorant. Use the deodorant.
My scent is Clean Coast. It's by Tom's of Maine. Deal with it.
Mine's like the extreme clinical strength one because I sweat so much.
I'm like a Speed Stick unscented. No scent.
Speed Stick unscented.
I just don't want to be reminded that I'm wearing something.
Really?
I just don't like the reminder.
Dude, I love cologne. I love candles.
I'm gonna put so much perfume on now.
Hit the button on cologne right there. Just hit the button on cologne.
Just say you don't smell good, okay? Now
I smell fine.
You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. Cause it get cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Need to stay up out the streets.
Welcome to the Mega Spring Pod.
Mega Spring Pod.
Mega Spring Pod. Here we go. We have a lot of ground to cover.
Too much.
2 months worth of content. And as I tweeted yesterday, college hockey is unhinged. There's just so much going on. Well, there is. I mean, let's not even take the NIL, the transfer portal, all those things. We now have general managers, not one, general managers of college programs, which is unheard of. That's brand new. We have players transferring and then transferring back. Yep. We have a school that's might have a program, might not have a program in Nashville. We just have so many different things happening in men's college hockey. This is not the show to talk about it, but there will be a flavor of it here on this show because of just so much going on with junior hockey and the drafts and the NTDP and all the other things. So,
well, normally I would agree with you, but I don't think that college hockey has gone off the rails because we've already seen all of these moves within the realms of football and men's basketball.
I mean, general manager.
Yeah, like Jim
portal.
Nagy was hired as the general manager at the University of Oklahoma. And considering the way you construct a college athletic roster in the year of our Lord 2025, it just makes sense. Like
I totally agree.
Hiring Bryn Chizik was a duh. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Right? And Matt Smaby coming along. That one was.
Can we talk about that for just a quick second?
That was in the bag. I'd be willing to bet that was in the bag soon as.
Let me give you some history though on this whole the Smaby the Smaby Chizik deal. So if you go back, I want to say probably I can't think of his name. A coach left North Dakota 4 years ago, maybe. Yeah, I think it was like 4 years ago. I can see his face, but I can't think of his name right now.
Carl Gehring?
No, it was Carl is the one who replaced this coach. I can't think of his name right now.
Dane Jackson.
No, Dane was always there.
Jason Blake.
Okay, just let me continue.
Gino Gasparini.
No. So there was a coach at North Dakota who departed, and it was up for discussion whether it was going to be Matt Smaby, who was at the time, I believe, the hockey director at Grand Forks Youth Hockey.
Yep.
And Carl Gehring, right?
Yep. And
Carl got the job. This was clearly Brad Barry's choice, right? This must have been clearly his choice, right?
Be, on the staff.
And Matt didn't get chosen. And within weeks of that or a year of that, because I know that Matt, I remember Matt, this is a true story, and no one can dispute this. I remember seeing Matt and Bryn chumming along outside one another at the Blue Ox in Moorhead in 2021 or 2022. I can't remember which year it was. And I remember those guys both played for UND. That's pretty cool. I remember that thought crossing my mind at the Moorhead rink. Fast forward, Brad resigns, or he was fired. Brad,
half and half.
Whatever. He was fired from UND, and Dane gets the job. Dane hires Bryn as his general manager, and 30 seconds after Waterloo loses in the Clark Cup finals, Matt becomes on the staff. So it was clear that doesn't that tell you, Peter Odney, that Dane Jackson wanted Matt. And Carl's not on Dane's staff. Pretty clear? Yeah. Pretty cool. I mean, you got to go back.
Yeah, I don't think that it was a unilateral decision, though. I think if you're going to bring in someone like Chizik, I'm trying to not call him Bryn because I don't want to make it sound like if I were referring to somebody that I didn't know very well, I'd use their last name. But you and I have worked around and with
such a good guy.
With Bryn for a while,
which is crazy. Now he's in charge of North Dakota hockey. Like he went from like GM of Waterloo to UND.
He was going to get snapped up by somebody though.
I know he was.
He wasn't going to be the GM of Waterloo forever. I mean, he was either going to transition. I think he would have transitioned into an NHL team at a lower level player personnel development.
Yep.
Even if it was within the AHL. Yep. So I think he had options, but I don't think it was a unilateral decision where Dane Jackson said, "I want Matt Smaby." I think it was they both came to an agreement. Matt Smaby's another one who, like Bryn, was not going to be the head coach at Waterloo forever. Matt Smaby has been on how many radars? He's got every experience in the book, right? He's been a successful coach in the USHL. He coached a Team USA as an assistant. He's worked with the USA Hockey National Camp scene, so he's got quasi relationships with all these players coming up. So I think it was an easy decision for both of them, and the fact that Matt played at UND is a cherry on top.
And I believe his wife is from Grand Forks. If she's not from Grand Forks, her chiropractic practice was one of the reasons she actually stayed in Grand Forks a little bit longer while he got settled in Waterloo.
Well,
I'm sure she's happy to be back.
I think a chiropractor makes more than a USHL head coach.
Correct.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Correct.
I'm waiting for Kayla.
Has a greater ceiling, at least, for income. Yes.
I'm waiting for Kayla to cringe because Jossie, Kayla, and I yelled at each other for 20 minutes about salaries and moving for salaries.
Yeah, it's definitely a topic that I'm sure the three of you guys could expound upon.
Salary is like minimum wage.
Right.
Yeah, that was the caveat when we were talking about PWHL salaries and moving families around.
But there's some good salaries in the PWHL.
There are, but the point that I was trying to make was if you're making $35,000 a year, is it tough to tell your husband who makes $200 as like a senior VP at 3M? It's a little harder than.
But whoever that player is should pursue that dream.
That's what we were basically like arguing about the fact that I think that the man would just move with his wife because I feel like that's like she's trying to be a professional athlete. He can probably get a high-paying job anywhere he goes.
Maybe. Or in that case where you got the 35,000, 200,000 equation, I think in that case is similar to Matt's wife. I think they probably took it pretty easy because of the income where she was at and her practice in Grand Forks. Probably transitioned slowly to Waterloo, or you could transition slowly from Minneapolis to wherever this player was to the next spot. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be like, I'm quitting my job. Yeah, you just kind of.
We're also assuming a lot about Matt's wife's chiropractic practice.
We have no idea.
Maybe she's the worst chiropractor
she could be
in the world, and she doesn't have any money.
And she might not even be a chiropractor, but I'm 99% sure.
She might not even be a chiropractor.
She might not be. I think she was.
She's like a kindergarten teacher somewhere, and you're calling her a chiropractor.
I think but how can I make that up, though? I swear I heard that somewhere.
I don't know.
But whatever.
If my computer was in front of me, I could look up.
It is in front of you. It is.
If
it's
it
not
were
from
here,
the camera. What are you looking? Are you looking up her
I'm looking
practice?
up Matt's Maybe's wife.
Oh
I'm
gosh!
trying to figure out if she's a chiropractor.
Can we talk about the stars of tomorrow? Can we talk about something?
I'm so much more interested in if his wife is a chiropractor than I am of stars of tomorrow.
And if she's good at her business.
Yeah.
All it says is
does she have any Yelp reviews?
All it says is his wife Jenna, and they have 2 children, Sloan and Jack.
Nice.
Matt Smaby also was my camp counselor.
Matt Smaby, I could talk forever about him. But a superstar, one of the last great Southwest
pride of Minneapolis
Lakers, yes.
Stars of tomorrow.
Let's go. You got any notes on Stars of tomorrow? Do you have any memories? My memories is I had a chance to referee a lot of Stars of tomorrow games. I probably did 8 or 10 of them. I know that in my opinion, I did boys and girls. I felt like the quality of play was way higher than it was the year before. Part of the reason is we weren't on the same weekend as Super Series as we were the year before. So I felt like a lot of those players came back. Something that jumped out at me day one, Zach Parisi was coaching the 2014 South, and he has Kurt Giles' grandson on his team. So there's Zach Parisi, Kurt Giles, and Mary Pat Giles, all standing within 2 feet of me as I was coming off the ice because I ran a practice for Team Minnesota before the tournament started.
Did you get their autograph?
No, but I was like, man, my worlds are colliding big time right now.
That's how I felt when I saw Kyle Okposo on a bench.
Yeah, that's going to be weird. That's going to be weird.
You are at this age where you're, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Hello.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be, and I don't mean weird, I mean, worlds colliding weird, not like weird to see a professional athlete.
No, it is weird because it makes me feel so old.
Yeah, it does.
It makes me feel. I remember trading Kyle Okposo. I was playing NHL 16 and I traded Kyle Okposo, and now here he is in the.
There he is. Yeah,
his son is really good.
Is anybody surprised?
That was my main takeaway.
Is anybody surprised that his son is good at hockey?
We were trying to pick between Odin and Rocco Brooks.
Oh, gosh. They're both so good.
I pulled a Tony Scott.
The old Cope MVP?
I go.
Oh, yeah. Did we get him
I go sprinting into the penalty box, and I'm like, I talked to Will Peterson. I was like, Will, what do you got? Because I got 2 kids here that are tied for points.
Yeah.
He said, well, Brooks has got 4. And I thought, okay, great. Okposo's got 4. So we went co-MVPs.
And did we promise the Brooks? Did you give it to Okposo?
I gave one kid the plaque and one kid the hat.
Okay.
And I said, we will get you a hat. And no, the hats are taken care of. One kid still needs a plaque.
And I bet it's Rocco. I can get Rocco.
I think it's Rocco. And I believe I saw Rocco again at a
the big one. He played up into 2015.
And he and I locked eyes at one point in the hallway, and I was like, "You're supposed to get a plaque, aren't you?"
What did he say? He probably shook his head.
I don't think he got it.
Yeah. Well, he'll get a plaque. I'll get him a plaque.
Okay.
I have bought many co-MVP plaques. I'll never forget my greatest decision ever.
Don't bring it up.
Come on.
I know what you're thinking.
Which one? This Max and Zam plant?
No, I was the Osseo Maple Grove Tri-MVPs.
Oh, that's unbelievable. That was a great one. I got them plaques too, by the way.
Tri-MVPs.
That was great. This was what were we just talking about? Max and Zam. We were headed up to the Pumpkin. One of the last years we were at the Pumpkin, and I said, I got to get me 2 hats. I got to get me 2 MVP plaques because I have a feeling that those 2 kids are going to go off this weekend, Max and Zam as peewees. And sure enough, in the championship game, shorthanded, Max steals the puck in the offensive zone, backhand blind pass to Zam, and he taps it in for the game-winning goal. And I'm like, well, there's your – and they both had the same amount of points. I'm like, glad I brought 2 hats, glad I brought 2 plaques. I look like a genius right now. And I just knew that could potentially happen with those 2.
You're so smart.
It's rare, but it happens. It happens. All right, any other thoughts on Stars tomorrow? You broadcasted like – a lot of games.
I broadcast a handful of games. The talent at the lower levels is as good as it's ever been. I mean, the skill on some of these kids is ridiculous. I do think that there is some merit to the old man argument that the kids don't know how to play hockey.
Yeah.
I do see some of that where it just feels like the feel for the game is just kind of off.
Well, they're super young. I mean, a lot of those kids are mite age still.
Yeah, but their stick skills are years ahead of where they used to be. These kids are hitting the crossbar, and I can't do that, and I'm 33 years old.
I remember it was the 2010s. So it was like Dylan Knox and that group when they were rolling in, and it was their first year at Stars of Tomorrow. And I remember Dylan Knox making this heel drag move, snipe shot, and he was like 8 at the time or whatever, and I was like, holy smokes, these kids are unbelievably good.
It's a different game.
Yeah, how talented they were for being so young. So young.
Yeah. You got anything from, I think the next event we were going to look at was Selects.
And I wasn't there. I think I was in Europe
there
at the time. So
I've got champions from each level here. On the boys' side, we'll go 2011 and 2015. 2011 North came out of that one. 2012 West.
This boys or girls?
This is boys.
Okay.
2013
And you
South.
broadcasted boys this year,
I did
didn't
all
you?
of the boys games. 13 South, 2014 South, 2015 East. So a nice little mix of North, South, East, and West. On the girls' side, 2015.
Let me guess. West.
East. 2014.
Let me guess. North.
East.
2013.
South.
East. What?
2012.
East.
West. And 2011 East.
2011 East. Wow, East was cleaning up.
It's possible that I am misreading the Selects website.
It's okay. I trust you.
A little confused on how each game gets logged in here, but I believe East.
And they don't
clean
put
up.
And I have a beef with Todd Gutterman. They don't put the goals and assists anymore. It just bothers me.
There's a reason for that, though.
What's the reason, Peter? Tell us the reason.
All the stat corrections.
Oh, that's why they went away from it.
I'm assuming that's why it is.
Oh, okay. I want to get a clarification on that. That's one of my favorite things is to watch Stars of Tomorrow or these tournaments and see who gets the points. I like points. Points are fun.
I guess.
Points are fun.
They're certainly helpful.
Yeah,
when you're trying to identify who had a great weekend or not.
Yeah, I like points. That's all.
I do too. You know what I don't like is goalie stats.
I hate goalie stats.
Hate them so.
Can't get them right. They're really hard to get right.
They're never right.
Well, I feel like, tell you the truth, Bantam Elite, we've done an amazing job of making sure the stats are right for goalie stats.
I'm pretty sure everybody in the building, parents especially, would prefer if we got them wrong.
So they have something to complain about?
No, so that they look better. Because goalie stats, and what I wish people at Bantam Elite would understand is that if you look at the high school Elite League, the goalie stats are terrible too.
I know.
It's not because the Bantam Elite League is bad. It's because it's not designed to be very goalie friendly. You're playing half a game each time.
Yeah, you're only getting
against
25
the best
minutes.
of the best. It's not supposed to look that good. And if you
good.
give up 2 or 3 goals and a half, which is
now
horrible,
you're at 4.5
but it's 2 goals in
yeah.
25 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think some parents would prefer if we padded the shot totals a little bit.
I try every once in a while when I'm entering them. I mean, not by dozens, but I'm like, I'll add a few in there just to.
If I have to round, I'll round up.
Right. Okay. What else you got?
From April,
we did the STP.
Now we're up to
invites.
USA Hockey Nationals.
Oh, yeah, do that one first, and we'll go to STP invite because that was after that.
Yeah.
Go.
14U Blue Ox over Little Caesars.
Haven't we kind of already?
I feel like we've already
The
done
internet
this.
has kind of beaten that thing to death, haven't we?
It's been beat to death. It's been revived by Dr. Frankenstein, and then it's been beat to death again. It's over and done with.
The Blue Ox boys won the national championship.
Yeah, which was cool.
I think you should go after me for my tweet about a group of kids, me maybe leaving out a couple facts in my tweet.
Oh.
You didn't like that.
I had a couple of issues with your tweet.
I want to hear
it.
Let's air them out here. Let's put our laundry out.
One of them.
Can I just say what the tweet was, the gist of the tweet? So the gist of the tweet, I don't have it word for word, was, wow. And then I took Ryan Kessler's, a snippet of Ryan Kessler's, though probably in his worst form on the Spit and Chicklets, meaning
it's not his worst form.
It was on that pod. It was him at his worst, meaning where they were cackling about the 44-0 and the shots being 143-0.
Yeah,
and you could hear the boys in the background on Spit and Chicklets laughing, and they were just having a great time.
I thought that was a little bit beneath Spit and Chicklets. I was a little surprised that he was.
But you got the cackling, right? He's like, oh,
yeah. I didn't think it was cool. I couldn't help but think of those poor Bell Tire kids.
That's my point, right?
So rolled.
I took a clip. I went in. I rewatched it. And I care. Let me get this 8 seconds. So I had the ability to find the 8 to 10 seconds of the Ryan Kessler part.
Sure.
And then I tweeted on top of that saying, here's your team with your belts and your all the things that he said in the podcast. He said it all. Which was factual, right?
It's not a belt. It's
you know what I'm saying.
It's more of a chest thing that they all wear, and tracks
they
their
had
heartbeat.
They had the heartbeat, all the things that were related to what he was openly bragging about all the things that they have. Yep. They have a nutritionists and a film crew and the whole deal. Yep. So I listed all of those things, which he did say. I'm not lying. I did that.
You're not lying.
And they did lose to a team that had never really practiced less than 5 times together.
80% of the team.
I left that part out. So there you go. That's what I did.
And I know you can't fit every character on Twitter. And I didn't really have an issue with you putting it out there because Little Caesars opens themselves up to criticism every time they take
I went for it.
Every time they take the ice, they open themselves up to criticism.
Yeah.
I don't like when people shit on kids. I don't like, especially when they're 14 years old. And I don't like people using Ryan Kessler as a reason to crap on kids. I don't like that.
So did I crap on the kids?
No, you didn't.
No, I was basically saying this team, despite all of this.
As soon as I read that tweet, though, I knew that people would come out of the woodwork.
Oh, yeah.
And be like, yeah, right, Kessler, he's the worst. Those kids are the worst.
Yeah. And I wasn't doing that.
I don't like that.
I was basically saying this system isn't foolproof. That's what I was saying.
But I've also heard from other people, and I've talked to some of those parents on that Little Caesars team. And for one thing, I cannot imagine spending so much time with one group of parents. Like, how do you not want to just murder the other parents? They start their training camp in like August. Yeah. And then they play until April. And then those same kids either play for No Nights Off, which is an organization run by Ryan Kessler and one of the goalie dads from the team, or they play for a different one. And you'll see those kids pop up at Kings of Spring. And then they'll play at the Slap Shot Showcase in Cincinnati. And then they'll play in the Stars.
They just keep going.
I could not imagine spending that much time.
How about that much money, too?
Oh, it's insane. But that's what you do at Tier 1 hockey. I mean, the prices cannot be surprising anymore. They can be grotesque. They can't be surprising anymore.
No.
But I can't imagine being Jimmy Smith and seeing Tyler's dad at the rink every other day of my entire life. I just feel like I would get so tired of the same people. But I don't like it when adults shit on kids, when they don't know the kids. And the Caesars people have also explained, like, this is not a program for everybody. This is for kids that want to play in the NHL. So this is what we do. We do video, and we do the nutritionist, and the kids go to school together, and they work out in the basement of the Royal Oak or the Oak Park Ice Arena. It's not a program for everybody. Beating Bell Tire 40 whatever to nothing is, to me, inexcusable. At some point, you put the brakes on. And I also think if you're the Michigan Amateur Hockey Association, at some point you institute a mercy rule. I don't care if it's the state playoffs, dog. How do you let it get to that level?
Well, it's not hard.
How do you do that?
To me, it is not that hard.
Add a running time.
5-goal running time.
And we shouldn't have been surprised because they beat this team 20-something to nothing earlier in the season.
Year,
And I looked at the game sheet from both games. And, yeah, I mean, they're littered.
They must be terrible, though. That team must not be very good.
They're not very good.
They must not be.
Some organizations at the Tier 1 level need to reevaluate.
Yeah,
if they are
that's
tier
the case
1
where
or
you kind of throw up the red flag and go, we're Tier 2.
Or you take a year off and you regroup, you figure it out, because I don't think the coach is coming back.
No. All right, let's move on. There was another national champion on the Tier 1 level.
We had a few national champions here.
Tier 1 U16, Tala Hansen, I believe, was the leading scorer for that team.
Yep, she was at least among the leading scorers.
And she's also a national camp participant, too. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But, yeah, she had a good spring.
Yep, and then at the Tier 2 level, girls Tier 2 14U, Minnesota Lakers, Tier 2 16U, Premier Prep Orange, and then Tier 2 19U, Premier Prep White. So Minnesota sweeps.
I love it.
Girls Tier 2. And Kayla and I were lucky enough to chat with Gisela Harder from Mount Westonka Southwest Christian. She was on that team.
The 19U one?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Premier Prep White, right before the lacrosse season.
One more thing to talk about. Just the multi-sport video you guys popped out. But if we have time, we'll get to it.
If we have time.
If we have time.
Are we still in April? Do you want to talk?
We were very much still in
Big
April.
One Showcase?
No, that was in early May.
Okay.
I would like to talk about the NTDP kids.
Okay, good, because that's the article I have pulled up right now.
All right, good. Let's talk about those. Is it 6 kids this year? That seems like average, a little bit below average. Seems like 6, 7, or 8 is the number that Minnesotans get chosen.
There were a lot
each
invited.
Year. Yeah, a lot invited to the camp. And then Luke Christofferson apparently declined an invite. Or did he take his Portland tender before the camp? He did.
There were a couple of kids who tendered before the camp.
Before the camp.
So I think they got word that they weren't going to be invited, or if they were going to be invited.
Yeah. I can't think of any other. Who are the other owners?
There was one other.
Boomer DeMars
there was
and
one
Finn
other.
Spihar both signed.
There was one other kid that signed a tender, not a Minnesota kid. Cole McKinney, maybe?
Maybe.
There was some big name who I saw signed a tender, and I was kind of like, Conboy.
Oh, Conboy.
Gunnar Conboy signed a tender, and I thought he had a legitimate chance to make that.
I did too.
Team. But I don't know. For all we know, and I'm not saying this maliciously, Tim Conboy might end up on the coaching staff of the Green Bay Gamblers.
Wouldn't doubt that.
I don't know. Maybe father and son want to be together.
Another kid got a tender too from USHL Des Moines. That would have been Ryland Rooney.
There it is. Ryland Rooney. Yep. There you go.
I have all the Rooney's heads out Easton. I'm like, which Rooney is
Jesse.
it? Yeah, Jesse.
Bill.
Yeah.
Trey. I think those are all Rooney's.
Yeah.
The 6 kids that are going to go, Nolan Fitzhenry, no surprise there. Freddie Schneider, no surprise there. Ben Geiger, I was a little bit surprised at Ben Geiger.
Really? 6'3"? They love 6'3".
Yeah, they're definitely big on size.
Yeah.
Easton Johnson, I was a little bit surprised at that one too. And
No,
not because I don't think he's a good player. I just haven't seen him.
No, he's
I
good.
saw him play one game this fall, and that was not a good barometer of his talent.
Where'd you see him?
The Fargo Force Showcase.
In Fargo, you were there.
In Fargo, we were there for the Pell.
Yep.
And because I have 0 friends and nothing else to do,
you went. And
I went to the Fargo Showcase after the Pell game.
I was at the Tier 1 Elite event in Blaine in February and saw him.
Yeah.
Saw Tyler Potter. Saw Hudson Ferry. I saw a lot of those U15 kids there. So, yes.
Yeah, I initially went to see Jimmy Egan, and I walked into the rink, and I see a tall kid on the bench in street clothes, and I'm going, okay, well, there goes Jimmy Egan.
He wasn't there. He was hurt.
He was hurt.
Yeah.
So Easton Johnson's going to go. Carson Scott from Hill Murray
Yep.
and Beck Thorson from Moorhead's Bantam AA.
4D.
Yep.
So, like, half their decors from the great state of hockey.
A Minnesotan is not going to be rotated to the 7th D spot and just kind of left there this year.
Yeah, it'd be pretty hard.
That would be tough. It's an interesting group. I don't know how to peg the NTDP anymore. I really don't.
Yeah, I used to go by height. That was always a big thing. But they took Wyatt, Cullen last year. He wasn't the tallest kid. Mikey Birchall's not the tallest kid. There's
some other
height either.
There's some other big names on here. I think Trevor Daly Jr.
Beautiful hockey player.
He's a really, really good hockey player.
Oh, my.
Rocco Pelosi is a really, really good hockey player.
Is that Chris Pelosi's little brother? Is he from Pennsylvania?
New Jersey.
Rocco? Is he? Oh.
But Chris played for Philly Flyers, so it might as well be Jersey.
Yeah. He might have been.
Who's another one that I really like?
Chris is at Quinnipiac now, I think so.
Yeah, no. Yes.
Yeah.
And then his battery mate for that Mid-Atlantic team, Serrato's at Penn State.
He's at Penn State. He's good. He's so good.
They only took 2 goalies, which I'm a little surprised at. But Diego Gutierrez was another one.
Okay.
Off the Shattuck 16U team. And I remember watching him play for the Western Selects at the Brick, which makes me feel older than old. Older than old.
08s or 09s? 09s.
These are 09s.
That was back when we split the Brick. Remember that? The good old days? You'd go for the first 3 days, and I'd go for the last 3 days.
Staying at that crappy hotel across the street.
Oh,
from
terrible.
The mall. It was disgusting.
Terrible.
There were
Smelled
bugs.
like smoke.
There were bugs everywhere. It
was terrible.
Yeah. Good times.
But it was easy walk, though.
I think
the walk was the best part, though.
Oh, it's right across the street.
That was the best
Instead of the last place I stayed when I went to the Brick, it was close to the rink, but not walkable. It was like a 2.5-mile drive. So every time I needed to go 2.5 miles,
Uber.
It was $14.
Yeah, it was like $10.
Spent more on Ubers than I did the hotel.
I stayed at the one where the Rose Series families stay, and it's the same where the Brick people stay. Yeah, that's where I stayed.
Where's that at?
I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but it's like you're saying, it's 2.5 miles from the rink and real easy.
It all sounds fine and dandy, and then you get out there and you realize this isn't walkable.
I walked it once.
Oh my God.
I walked it once.
I tried to walk.
It was farther than I imagined.
Yeah.
Because I took the car. I Ubered a couple of times. I'm like, I'm walking this.
Yeah.
And then you walk, and you're like, wow, now I'm 40 minutes in.
I walked Charleston once.
I've never been.
It was literally on the other side of a ravine.
Charleston's now played in Boston. That tournament's been moved to Boston.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Facility-wise, thank God. Town-wise,
Was it okay? How was
Charleston?
How were the Charleston years? You went twice, didn't you?
I loved it. They were both great years. That was a lot of fun. I liked Charleston a lot. Nashville. Charleston is probably my number 1 in terms of Team Minnesota trips that I've taken. Charleston.
Vegas is
Nashville.
The least, right?
Well, Vegas is the least because that was one of my first ones, and it was right after COVID, so everything was Nevada was one of the more open states.
Yeah.
COVID just threw everything into a wrench. And I think I got there late.
Isn't that a good segue into our next deal? Because I went to Nashville.
Yeah.
Team.
For Cowgirl Shootout.
Yeah, I coached that, and I watched a little bit of the Vegas boys one, too. I watched a lot of those.
Music City
Invite. I watched that, a little bit of that, too. So there's a lot of hockey. Our team, Minnesota girls team, loses in the quarterfinals. Boy, I'm on the bench. That's hard. It's hard.
That's all your fault, too.
It's all my fault. That's the way it feels, right? I'm coaching a super crew of kids, and we lose in the quarters. We lose in a 2-on-2 overtime. You know,
I hate that too.
Oh my God! And it wasn't even a breakaway, Peter.
I hate it.
It was not even a breakaway. There was about 6 breakaway stops on both sides. It's exciting to watch, but man, it's hard to lose in. You know, the girls played so well the whole weekend too, and
you guys lost to
Boston Junior Bruins, our nemesis. We have beaten them like 3 times in epic fashion, and they've beaten us 3 times in epic fashion. I mean, epic. Every time we play them, it's epic.
The first time I went to Nashville, we lost in the semis and 2-on-2 overtime against was it CJR? It was either CJR.
Was this the 2011s? I think it was.
It was Rick Wagner's team.
Yeah, the 11s. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got Avery Wagner on a breakaway within the first 10 seconds of overtime.
It could score.
She hit the crossbar.
Yeah,
she hit the crossbar, and they came right back down and scored.
That's just the way it works.
Ali Hebert, the leading scorer for the tournament, she had 18 points in 7 games for CJR.
Yeah, that team is good.
Won the whole thing.
They're gonna win the War for the Roses in Edmonton next summer unless we amp it up some. Minnesota, I'm telling you, we are a sleeper team. We are a sleeper team. Nobody is thinking we're going to be good. Mark it down right now. We will be in the finals next year in Edmonton, and you will be there.
In Edmonton next year.
You will be there.
26,
you will be there.
Okay, I got some paperwork to work on with
with the Federals?
With the nation of Canada. Kinley Billingsley, I recognize that name off the CJR roster. She's pretty good.
Yep.
It's tough to peg where these teams are going to be, though, because even CJR, coming from a metro area that includes like 9 million people, they still pick up a random girl from Anaheim.
Yeah, that's been pretty much discouraged now.
Good.
That is
it
very
should be
well
discouraged because that gets messy.
Yeah,
it gets very messy.
We have every year, because I run Team Minnesota, every year I get 30 or 40 applications from kids from out of state that want to come and play for our organization. I'm like, we're mostly Minnesota. I don't want anyone. I really don't.
It causes more headaches than it solves.
I'm open to a player here or there, but they have to have a Minnesota interest. Like there's a girl from Boston Junior Bruins 14s who I met in Denver. Mm-hmm. And they are moving to Minnetonka and want to know when the tryouts were. I'm like, I'm okay with that. That I'm okay with.
Right, hold on.
It's not.
Now I got to pull up.
I don't want some girl from some other land playing for our team unless they're from here.
I would rather, and this, obviously you can tell me to buzz off because I don't run anything with Team Minnesota girls. I'm not in charge. I would rather go 0-5 with Minnesota girls than run the table with half a team of
I couldn't agree
random
with you more. I couldn't agree
kids,
more.
Man.
I'm not going to disagree with you. That's what I said. I don't want anyone less. I mean, don't get me wrong. We do have girls from Fargo and have had girls from Fargo. And
yep, there's a girl from Illinois that played goalie for the 2012s.
For the 2012s. Yep. Eaton, I think her name is. Yep, they've had that. And I'm all open to. We have 2 girls from Thunder Bay. Will be playing in NAIF for. Okay. Our Minnesota team, but there's no representation. We're helping. We're actually doing them a favor.
Keep it to 1 or 2 kids, and that's great. But I remember watching a team in Charleston. Was it like Team Alaska or something?
Yeah, that team.
And their 2 best players are both from Maryland.
I remember.
So all the buzz in the lobby was, "Wow, Alaska! Oh, Alaska's got some great."
Yeah,
players.
they had like 2 girls from Nebraska.
She's from Bethesda,
not Alaska.
Talking about
correct.
She doesn't even know what her coach is.
Yeah, that was the 09s. That was the 09s. Yes.
I think
they made the finals of the War for the Roses that year.
Did they?
I think they did.
Oh, that would work. The 2 girls that they had were really friggin' good. They just weren't from Alaska. Did you like Nashville though? Did you have fun?
I was so focused on the games. We had 2 games a day. You know, Thursday, 2 Friday. And then the one on Saturday, it was a little tricky to kind of get in the Nashville groove. I've been there 2 other times before with Team Minnesota, so I really didn't do a lot of the Broadway stuff. I was mostly focused on the hockey. And then once we lost so this is the Saturday before Easter, I was able to get a flight home Saturday night. So I was gone after that. My flight was Monday morning if we had made it to Sunday.
See, I love that. I love finishing up and then having like a full day where you can just kind of decompress after the hockey.
If it weren't Easter, I would have stayed, but I was just going to go home and have brunch and go to church with my family. So
that sounds nice.
that was a victory.
You didn't do any historical thing?
Oh, no, I did not. But I have in the past, that's for sure.
I went to Shies Hill last year.
Yeah, I remember that. You used that as a prop for something in your writing. I remember that.
That's a really good question. I don't remember that at all.
All right, on to...
It was a really cool battlefield, though.
What else do we got in April?
It was really cool.
There was no USHL or WHL draft?
Nope, that was May.
So the end of April was kind of that Chi-Town shuffle kind of weekend.
Can I confess something to you?
What?
I have no clue who won the Chi-Town.
No, neither do I. I'm just kind of
no idea.
For me, my brain goes, okay, what was this weekend? What was that weekend? And then the next weekend was our
big
event in Lakeville.
Yeah.
And then there was also WSI in Philly. So that's, you know what I mean? See, I'm putting them in layers of what weekend was what.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we could have a chuckle about WSI.
Yeah, why not? So we have Lakers and SDP played each other in the semifinals, correct? That's worthy of discussion. And I think the 09s won. Didn't Blue Army win the 09s, maybe?
I'm trying to figure out who won what.
That website was
not going to
so
say anything.
Painful.
I'm not going to say anything.
It was painful for me to follow along
Everybody runs their events in a different way.
There we go.
It's all different. What? I don't want to register. I want to know who won.
Yeah, I was on there. I finally figured it out. But it wasn't easy. But let's start with that SDP Lakers semifinal.
The 2010.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That there's enough talent from Minnesota, and by all accounts, a lot of Division I, a lot of USHL, a lot of WHL scouts in the building to watch this stuff.
So I've been to WSI. Humble brag.
And I wish you would have been there this year.
It is a scouting bonanza.
It is.
I mean, there are scouts all over the place.
If the big one were held in Bloomington, which it normally is, I think you would have been in Philadelphia. But since the big one was in two buildings, we could not afford to not have you with us. You know what I mean? Like two buildings is tough.
It
Just
is
like when Denver, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
We were in two buildings the whole weekend. I was so tired by the end of Denver. I was like, I can't do two buildings.
The two-building thing just kills you at the end.
It wears you out. It just does.
Yeah, there are a lot of scouts at WSI. I would also say at WSI there are more bad actors at WSI than there are at a Hollywood casting call.
Really? Give me example of a bad actor.
Well, and this is a really broad generalization, but it's fishing time for advisories.
Oh,
it's fishing time, man. You got everyone in one building. It's not the regular season, so these teams aren't really following back to the hotel by 9 p.m., up at 6 a.m.
No one's protected.
It's not structured. There's not a lot of – it is the perfect time
if you're an advisor and hustle.
To hover in that lobby and find somebody's mom or dad and say hello.
Ooh,
and you know what? I
am really sorry I haven't seen that side of WSI. I just see brackets and scores.
It's not a used car lot, but
they're close.
But they're around.
Pretty close.
And it's the perfect time to build your
lots
base,
of tennis shoes. Lots of cool tennis shoes.
Lots
of blazers with hoodies.
Lots of dress sneakers.
Lots of those. And
I get it. You're building a client base, and it's a job, and I think it is at the end of the day, I think it's a necessary job. But yeah, you walk into that lobby, and damn, dude, it is a feeding frenzy.
Crawling everywhere.
It's a feeding frenzy.
But give me some results. I think it was
SDP 2010.
They lost in the finals to a team that you're probably familiar with, right?
East Coast Prime.
Yeah.
Familiar.
You familiar with Daly was on that? No, Daly's in 09.
Drew Daly was on that team.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a different bracket.
But there were a bunch. That East Coast Prime team had a bunch of BK kids and a bunch of Shattuck kids.
They were really good.
Yeah.
They were really good. And some organizations that have been around long enough are really good at putting their teams together, like Draft Day.
Yeah, historically they've been very
really good.
Yep.
They put together a group that I think all played Division I.
Look up
the year that I went out there.
Yeah, look up the 09 division. I know Blue Army made the finals. Did they win it? I can't remember.
I don't think Blue Army, they made the semis. They lost to Dynamo.
Okay. Yeah, Russian team.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
And Dynamo played Golden Ring Selects.
Oof, what a rough name that is.
At Hollydale, home of the Philadelphia Hockey Club. And then the 08's CEM Hockey.
No idea.
No
idea
who that is. Oh, my gosh.
What?
North Star Elite made the quarters.
No way.
Pro Hybrid also made the quarters.
In the 2010s.
08s.
08s?
08s.
Give me an 08 Pro Hybrid kid. Give me that.
Hold, please.
I looked it up. I remember looking them up. I'm trying to visualize who would be on that team.
Hunter Doroff.
Yep, I remember that.
On that team. Henry Robinson.
Yep.
Tate Ertl.
Tate
Ertl.
Yes.
Easton
From Hudson.
Horn. Zach By. Cole Pernhage.
Pernhage. He used to be a Hermantown kid. I think he moved out east.
Okay. And then Tommy Halverson.
There you go. All right.
It's not bad.
It's
not bad. I do think it is funny that you flew to Voorhees, New Jersey, and you end up playing Minnesota Lakers and STP.
In the semis, yeah. yeah, that does happen.
It's also the last time I want to hear somebody.
What's the semis, though? I mean, you're going to eventually.
But that's the last time I want to hear somebody complain about how long our tournament is.
What do you mean?
WSL is 9 games.
Yeah,
you're there for
brutal.
like 10 days.
It's brutal.
That is a long schedule.
All right, so that's the same weekend as the big one. Big one is, I have an announcement for the big one next year. We've done a showcase the last 2 years.
Okay.
We're going back to a tournament next year.
Okay.
I'm going to make those games mean something on Sunday. I feel like the games mean something on Thursday and Friday because they're there and they're rolling up their sleeves. By Saturday, they're like, I feel like we're kind of dragging on, and then by Sunday they want to get out of there. And I'm like, these games matter. They're league games.
Well, and by Sunday, some of the kids are going to baseball because they figure I've done 4 hockey games on the weekend. We're trying our best to serve both masters, so they end up going to baseball on Sunday.
Yep. So I think we're going to go back to a tournament next year for our Youth Elite League.
Okay.
Was that the big one?
That was the big one.
I literally was having I'm having such a hard time making a video for that. Because there's no like
celebration.
Yeah, like
there's nothing attached.
No one
to
really
it.
Yeah.
You lose and it's
lose some emotion.
Yeah, you don't have the emotion on that we're used to on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday semifinal, like the exit seat, you punch your ticket. I want those games to matter. So next year we're gonna go back to a tournament. A tournament. Same format, but instead of 5-game guarantee, you're gonna get a tournament out of it. So.
Good deal. Are we into May yet?
We are, that was early May. And then the weekend between that and Denver, I have no idea what happened then. Let's go with the USHL and WHL drafts that happened between Big One and Denver.
Yep, Phase 1, 56 Minnesota natives selected. The first Minnesotan picked was Nash Road of White Bear
Can I say something factually that is really misleading?
Okay.
56 Phase 1 draftees is a new record by a mile for a number of players drafted.
They also added rounds, though,
too. They doubled the amount of Minnesotans drafted, but they doubled the amount of draftees.
Yeah, it is not. It's not as simple as
it's not, and no offense to the people drafted in the Phase 1 this year. It's not as big a deal as it used to be because it would be, if you were an 09, and this year's the 09 drafts, right?
Yep.
If you were an 09 in the previous system, only 7 rounds drafted. And now it just feels like it just went on and on. It didn't feel to me as special as these getting drafted. These kids getting drafted. But what the U.S. Tier 1 Junior League is trying to do is stockpile American players. And they did a nice job at that.
Establish the
relationship. Get early. Them to their camp, start to schmooze them, prevent them from going to the Western League.
Yeah. Let them see how good they look in a Tri-City Storm quarter zip as opposed to a Portland Winterhawk quarter zip. I did publish a couple of articles afterwards, my 5 favorite picks out of Phase 1 and Phase 2. The stipulation was that they had to be chosen in the 6th round or later. My 5 favorites from Phase 1 were Charlie Hunst from Lakeville South. Rylan Hansen from Elk River. Boomer DeMars from the Long Island Gulls, and now that is kaput.
Yep.
And there's your reason why he went in the 11th round behind.
Everyone knew
that he was going to go to the Dub. Brody Lockman from Blaine was a 13th round pick.
That's a good pick.
And Owen Conrad was the last pick of the draft.
That is a great pick.
That is a really nice pick there.
He's a great athlete. He was a Wiz Wyatt finalist, 3-sport athlete in 7th grade.
He is a crazy competitor.
Yeah, I love his game. Remember he got kicked out of the Big Pumpkin?
I don't remember that.
In the semifinals? Yeah, I think he got a 4th penalty, or he said something to the ref, and then they were in the semis, but they ended up winning the semis, but he couldn't play in the championship because of the ejection. But then R.J. Thompson, who was sick all week, came down and played in the championship.
We'll get to R.J. here.
Yes, we will. That's why I thought it'd be a good lead into the WHL draft.
Let's run through the phase 2.
Okay.
My 5 favorites out of phase 2, same deal. Got to be picked in the 6th round or later. Leo Gabriel was scooped up by Tri-City.
I love that kid.
Blake Doshin.
Love that kid
Lincoln
too.
In the 6th round. Maceo Phillips was a 7th round selection. And now
Tri-City?
Green Bay.
So
now Maceo is deciding between Green Bay and Portland in the WHL right now.
And when he was in here, he had no idea.
No, he didn't
even give me the old, I'm leaning towards Portland. I'm leaning towards Green Bay.
He has
no
clue. He has no clue. Cal Conway lasted until the 13th round.
Waterloo, right?
Yep. Ended up with Waterloo.
He's already signed with Wenatchee, though, so that's done.
Another one. And then Bodie McConnell was a 15th round pick in Madison. And I couldn't help but compare Bodie McConnell to Bobby Cowan, a player
I like that. And he was in Madison, too, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like an underappreciated Edina winger.
Jackson Nevers was there. I mean, it seems to be kind of a little bit of a Lake Conference effect going on over Madison.
Madison? Mason Moe.
There's another one. No, Jackson Nevers got traded from Waterloo to Madison.
Oh, okay. I say originally.
So my point is, it kind of feels like it's a little bit of a Lake Conference feel there.
Yeah, and I mean that would make sense because if you're in Madison, it's a 3.5-hour drive to watch Edina and
Stout from Minnetonka played there.
Yeah. So that makes sense. WHL draft, 18 players from Minnesota selected across the 2 rounds, meaning Minnesota represented nearly half.
Yeah, there's 44, 46? 44.
Yep. 44 of those guys. I have that somewhere.
Did RJ go second?
He went second.
Second overall?
Yep, R.J. Thompson goes second overall. He is officially back in town.
Yeah, and he'll be playing at Eden Prairie High School this year, and he's playing in the Pell.
Is he really?
Yeah. Yep, he'll be playing on what would it be? He'll be in the National League of the Prep Elite League.
Okay. Oh, I hope he it's a little different than playing with Little Caesars.
Yeah, but it'll be good hockey.
Well, yeah, and he'll play against older kids too.
Which is at Eden Prairie
it's
High
one of the
School,
advantages of coming back is he'll play against older talent
and Lake Conference too.
Yeah, it's not exactly. He's not going to Kitson County Central. No offense.
No
Kitson
offense.
County Central. So
RJ was
goes second,
and then I think it was Pugh. Did you hear that the Schultz Pugh thing? Does that mean anything to you?
Maddox Schultz.
Yeah, is that his name? The first overall pick
went to Regina.
Yeah, and then Liam Pugh got picked. They had a trade. So they basically 2 of the best players in Canadian Western hockey were drafted to the same team. It's kind of a big coup for the Regina Pats. Sorry, I was following along with the draft first round. And
as soon as I started reading a scouting report on Maddox Schultz and I saw the word generational, and then I put it away.
He's good.
Yeah, but good. Generational, we've overused the term.
No.
So
but I would say he's good, and
he's a good hockey player.
He has exceptional status, so that means he's good. Yeah. That means he can play in the league next year. But Liam Pugh's a kid from BC.
Yeah,
really good player. I coached his older brother when we took Black Bears teams up there in 2019, I believe.
That was a while ago.
And maybe 18. We went up there to Vancouver and played. And Jason Pugh, his dad, and I coached an 07 team together.
That's PPU.
And little Liam was running the bench for us.
Thanks, Liam.
So,
Henry Buttweiler goes 12th to Regina, and then right after him, Easton Dozark goes to Swift Current. Jake Burmis gets scooped up 16th by Medicine Hat.
Yeah.
Portland takes Maverick McKinnon, 18th.
No surprise there.
Henry Meyer goes to Everett, 19th. Joey Cullen goes to Victoria, 20th.
Which is the strangest pick ever.
I'd swing for if you're going to swing for the fences on somebody, though, then swing.
When in the world would you ever see a scenario where Joey Cullen ends up in the Western Hockey League?
I don't know.
His dad's a part owner of a USHL team. I don't ever see that happening.
But if you get down to
I
it,
could see
you don't
Joey
really
playing in the USHL, yes, but I could never see him playing in the Western League.
I don't know. I think if you take a pick at this point, you swing
I would take
for
a
the
player
best
that would
guy.
actually show up as a chance. There's 0% chance he ends up there.
Would
That's
you
why I don't
rather?
like the pick.
Would you rather take a player who's not that good and it's 100% that
there's
he'll
some
show
really
up,
good
or would
players.
you rather take an elite player?
I
and
would
there's
take
a 10%
a player that
chance he shows up.
I would say it's less than 10.
What if he shows up?
No, less than
What if
one.
he shows
less than 0. Is there a less than 0% chance?
I don't know. What if Matt gets a really good offer to be the GM in Vancouver?
No.
All right.
No.
I'm just throwing out what if.
I like where they were going, but I think it's way out there.
Drew Corton goes 24th. Lethbridge. Mason Schemenauer 25th to Prince Albert. Parker Duraney, who I loved off that Minnesota block.
Yep, from Detroit Lakes. He's going to be going to
Penticton.
No, this year he's playing, I want to say like Fox Motors, or he's playing Tier 1 and not playing in Detroit Lakes this year.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, well, his brother Mason will go with him too, so they're both really good players.
Dean Stevens goes 28th to Victoria. Gavin Godbout 30th to Portland. Brody Johnson, who I apologize I missed on my initial pass.
Very good.
Brody Johnson's a fairly generic, common name.
Oh, you missed it?
I didn't even think about it.
The old, you scanned the list and didn't see him. Yeah, you don't miss Gavin Godbout. You know what I mean? It's
no, because I recognize the name.
Pops out, right? I'm with you. I've made that mistake before. I missed Carson Scott on my initial, when I was announcing the players to going to camp. I missed him on the list.
Wow, you're the worst.
I corrected it like 10 seconds later.
Medicine Hat takes Bauer Sullivan at 32nd. Swift Current takes John Grammer at 35th. Tyler Coons goes to Regina, the Grand Forks native. Owen Kraft goes to Wenatchee.
Yeah.
Paxton
Where
Medill
his brother
goes
is playing.
Paxton Medill to Red Deer. Carter Nash to Edmonton. And Avon Huntvet rounds it out, going to Brandon.
Yeah.
Goes to Brandon in a draft sense. We'll see.
And I think Roderick Jackson got picked by Edmonton too later in the phase 2.
Is there a second round?
Yeah, there's so what happens is the Canadians take their first rounders, then they have their American draft, and then they have their rounds 2 through 10 or whatever. So there are other Minnesotans taken. We'll call it day 3. Day 3, yeah. Or day 2, I can't remember. Maybe they do the round 2 after that. But I know that Roderick got picked by Edmonton. There are a few others, too.
Oh, my gosh.
You see it?
I do not have time to go through all
No,
of
you don't. It's okay. Let's move on.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm just a big
Landon
fan of that
Knott.
kid. I'm a big fan of it. Landon Knott.
Landon Knott.
Yeah, bunch of them. Those kids are.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Those kids are. Speaking of Pell, Avon Honfet, Paxton Medill, Roderick Jackson, Landon Knott. All those kids are playing on the Pell North Stars team in our National League this year.
Zach Mielke.
Keep going. You good?
I don't want to keep going.
All right, so we've covered both drafts.
Draft days took forever.
Yeah, I know. You did a nice job of covering
USHL Phase 2 takes so freaking long.
It's painful. It's painful. All right, let's move on to Denver.
Denver.
4 tournaments in Denver, I believe. There was 14s, 13s, 12s, and 11s. 14s, I believe. Yeah, West Can won that one. They beat the undefeated. The team goes through it. undefeated, and then got beat in the finals.
Okay.
Avenged a loss. So it was. I like that West Can team. They were scrappy. They were a really scrappy team. I coached in the 14s with Team Minnesota. We won, lost 2 games in overtime, and lost the other 2 games with an empty net. So we were this close to being pretty darn good.
How close?
This close. This close.
Yeah, West Can defeats West Can Sask.
Yep.
2014 division. Team Minnesota shuts out West Can Sask in the 2013 division.
2-0. Bryn Harris we won that one. I coached that one. Bryn Harris had an amazing championship game. She had a big goal to give us a 1-0 lead, and then had a beautiful empty netter late in the game that sealed the game.
West Can Sask over West Can
in the 12s. Yeah, that was a really good game.
West Can over Western Selects.
Western Selects.
2011s.
Yeah. And Jossie from YHH coached the 2011s, and they lost in a shootout on Saturday night to get to the championship. They lost to Western Selects.
A bummer.
Yeah, she did a really nice job with that 2011 team. They did quite well during the tournament. They won. They were the highest seeded team coming out of pool play, and just couldn't get it done against Western Selects.
It's a good Western Selects age group, though.
Yeah, the 2011s.
Havsepi in there or Havespian?
I am reffing that group.
Is Morgan Ma there?
Maybe, yeah.
Ella Ionero?
No, but they have a young lady. I can't think of her name right now. Keep an eye out for her. She was the best girl in all age groups in the tournament. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she was. If you could stop her, you could stop that team.
Gotcha.
All right. Now we're getting close. Now we're May 18th.
Are we down?
We've done all the drafts. Now we're Robertson Cup and Clark Cup.
Your eyes just.
What happened?
He said he was gonna call on me during the Robertson Cup.
All right, here we go, Robertson. You were called on last year at Robertson Cup too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear it. Let's hear your report.
My report?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Are you going to ask me a question?
Well, okay,
Bismarck won it. Yeah, Thomas Anderson
I'll give you
was
an
the
overview.
MVP of the league announced yesterday.
Bismarck defeats Rochester 2 out of
3.
2 out of 3.
They lost their first game. They had to come back and win 2.
I'm going to be fully honest. That first game, they did not look like they would win 2. I thought for sure that Rochester would beat them.
Yeah.
Some little brothers from the Rochester team almost hit me in the head with an ice chunk before the game started that I was at.
Was that the same weekend as Denver? That was the same weekend as Denver.
Yeah. And then Lone Star beat Wisconsin 2 out of 3, and I believe the Wendigo won the first game
they
too.
Did.
So
both teams came back.
Yeah. I saw those 2 first games, and then you saw the second 2. So
yeah, we saw very different games.
Very different.
All I saw was a bunch of fighting.
And I saw 2 teams where, well, the Wendigo looked worse in my opinion, but they won.
Okay.
But then the other team that ended up winning. The
Lone
whole
Star?
thing looked. Wait.
No, Bismarck won the whole thing.
Yeah, but didn't Bismarck play the?
Bismarck beat Rochester.
Yeah, Rochester.
And then beat
Rochester
Lone
looked
Star
so
in the
much
final.
better to me for some
Really?
reason.
Interesting, because they looked.
I think they
awful
must.
to me.
I think they must have been tired. The Bobcats
It's just such
or
a.
something.
It's just such a different game. The Robertson Cup is such an odd structure.
It is because they play the series of 3.
Yeah, and then they play
And then
for
they
the
play
championship.
one.
They play one.
One. I like that.
One
I like
game.
that. I like that.
I tried to get dinner at Moe's the night before
Was
the
it
game
closed?
started. No, they just they don't notice when people walk in. They
No.
really do not notice when you walk in and you sit down, unless you're with a group of 49
Is that the one
people.
attached?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
it was okay. It wasn't worth it anyway. I got a hot dog. I was all good. The null to me is the null. I mean, I got scared because one kid went down at the end of the game, and then a whole bunch of people started crowding around him. And thinking you're not wearing a face mask, somebody's going to step on your cheek, and there's going to be blood everywhere.
There was a kid literally playing with a half of his face fully bandaged.
Nice.
And I was like, that had to be a skate thing.
Gotta want it more.
As I said, Thomas Anderson was named the league's MVP.
Yep.
He played major Manitoba Junior Leagues last year as a goaltender.
Dauphin or somebody?
One of those.
Estevan.
One
I
of those.
also owe an apology to someone because
Why
I
are you
tweeted
offending
something
people?
about the Minnesotans on the team, and there was a kid that was born in North Dakota but played for Moorhead or something.
Oh, yeah. The goalie.
I was just looking at where they were
Kai
born.
Weigel, yeah.
I was looking at where they were born. I wasn't looking at.
That was so okay. It was so okay. I mean, I love Kai Weigel, too, and his cousin. What's his cousin's name? Plays at UMD now. He was really good.
Last name.
He was a Bismarck kid, too, that moved over. Bartz or I can't think of his name right now. And he played at Moorhead too. I can't think. He was the MVP of the Hockey for Life.
You're failing at your family tree job.
Sorry. Anyway, they're cousins.
Okay.
I'll get it eventually. I think he was at UMD last year.
Ryan Lund and Mason Stinger were named to the NAL All-Rookie team.
Yes.
Congrats, fellas. And Tommy Cronin was the leading scorer for the Bismarck Bobcats with 3 goals and 13 points. Clark Cup, Muskegon over Waterloo. Muskegon wins the best of 5, 3-2, a 4-3 win in overtime in Game 5. Jack Christ with the overtime game winning goal.
Is this my turn to go off on Jack Christ being just what a great story?
Well, I was trying to figure out who had a better Easter season. Jack or Jesus. Considering their last names are both Christ.
Yeah, that kid, I mean, what a great finish to a season. I mean,
rising after 3 days in a tomb, that's a hell of a way to put a cap on it.
I will just say, I'm going to ignore all your little Jesus jokes here and get to the point. I think I couldn't be happier for a kid that really just worked his tail off. He's played in Chaskatchewan and Chanhassen High School in the shadow of other players quite a bit. And for him to get the spotlight on him in such a big moment, fantastic. Harper Bentz is Kai Weigel's cousin. They're both from Bismarck, North Dakota.
Well, this kid's not from North Dakota, but he turned the Clark Cup playoffs into his own personal showcase. Carter Casey.
Oh, my Lord.
He wins 10 games. He loses 3 in regulation and 2 in overtime. He ends up with a 2.53 goals against, a .918 save percentage, and a pair of shutouts.
Before we get to golfing with Carter in a minute, did you see the game where he lost it and shot the puck right on the guy's stick and they fired it in the playoffs? Oh, my God. I felt so bad for the kid.
I don't have a Flow Hockey subscription.
No, this was on Twitter. So the puck rims around. He goes back behind the net and gets it, and he tries to play it. Instead of playing it to a teammate, he put it right on a Muskegon guy's stick, and he flushed it in like single or double overtime. So felt bad for Carter on that one, but you can't feel bad for how great he played.
Waterloo's not there without him, so.
No, and it's so funny. I mean, and I know Carter really well because he was a goalie of the year winner. I got to play golf with him he and Nate and Shimon last spring and got to know those guys pretty well. And Carter, watching him do his interviews, because I watched every one of them after they won games, it seemed like he got the microphone a lot. Yep. I mean, talk about a kid. Some kids aren't ready for an interview. Sometimes they are way too ready. Mm. I would put Carter as if there was a number greater than 10 out of 10, he would have gotten a greater than 10 because he was like, every answer was just dialed. Like he would say to him, yeah, well, what about this? And he would go, well, yeah, it's great defense in front of you. We're all playing for one reason, whatever. Never an answer about himself the entire time. He's a pro. He had it down pat, and couldn't be happy for him. I think it's pretty safe to say, we'll have a high school show, I'm sure, this summer, that he will not be back at Grand Rapids this year because of...
Well, he might feel like he owes something to the math team. Math team.
He ditched the math team.
They're not going to state without Carter.
He ditched the math team. I did text him about that, and he said, hey, hockey comes before math.
Oh, that's actually a nice little segue into high school coaching hires.
Yeah,
which
perfect.
Have been going on. We've got a list of boys hires. There is no centralized list of girls hires.
No. I don't even know if I've seen any. Have you?
Neither have I.
I know some teams have lost their players. I do have one.
A girls coach?
I do have a girls coach. One moment, please. I got to go because I wasn't supposed to tweet it until today. I haven't tweeted it yet, so I can announce it on the show because God only knows when it's going to go live. But here we go. Jake Schumann will be the new head coach at Holy Angels girls program.
Oh, there it is.
So there you go. Found it.
We were Jenny, Jossie, and I were trying to figure out who the new
Nope, it's
coach was
Jake
gonna be there.
Schumann, and I was given permission to announce it today. They announced they took down the application process yesterday and said the coach will be announced. And I don't know if it's announced yet today, but I will tweet something out. Jake has got an interesting story. He played at Benilde St. Margaret's as a goaltender and won 2 state championships in '99 and 2001.
Is his number retired there?
No, I don't think he was the starter his sophomore year. Okay. But it looked like he had starter minutes his senior year.
Interesting. Holy Angels is in a weird spot.
No, this wasn't Holy Angels. This is Benilde.
No, I'm saying Holy Angels this year for girls is in a weird spot.
Yeah.
Or no, they lost a lot.
Yeah. They'll still have some good players.
Section 4 is in a weird spot.
Yeah, they'll have some good players, though. I think Blake will be the team to beat next year.
Depending on who comes back and
who
doesn't.
Right, okay.
Boys high school hires. Blake hires JT Wyman.
Is he a former Bear? Yeah. Sounds like a Bear name.
Gross. Egan hires Austin Kreiser.
And he was at Invergrove Heights Simley, right? He was for
yeah, he was at Simley.
Simley, yeah.
Northern Lakes, Tom Klein takes over from Mike Randolph.
Can I just add something on this one?
Wanders away from Northern Lakes.
Yeah, Mike Randolph and I had a good 1 hour discussion about why he left, and it had nothing to do with the people in Northern Lakes. He said were fantastic. It was great to work with them. Just the drive from Pequot Lakes or wherever their rink was back to Duluth was harrowing, to say the least. He goes, it's just not an easy drive. So whenever I had to leave, it was at night. It just wasn't safe. My wife was worried whenever I left. I couldn't do it any longer. That's why he left. With nothing to do with the hockey. The hockey was great. He enjoyed the kids.
Well, he said
enjoyed
nothing,
the community.
He said nothing but good things about that team after they got knocked out and
It
stayed.
was fantastic. TK wanted to get back into it. Now, Tom Klein was a coach for Minnetonka High School for a long time as a head coach. And he was Andy Jones's head coach. Who's Andy Jones, right? Andy Jones is the head coach at Bentley, who I interviewed and will be of a podcast coming up when? Kayla, Joe, Franz, when will the Andy Jones podcast be making the airwaves?
We
Before
have
this
3
one or after?
podcasts in 24 hours.
I know. Which one will be going up first?
Who knows?
Okay, who knows? I don't know. That's why I'm like, I have no idea. Kayla ends up deciding which podcast goes up when. But it was great to meet Andy and see the whole Bentley. I'll tell you what, the Bentley campus is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, right? Just west of downtown Boston. Not a blade of grass out of place. The brand new 2,000-seat arena, fully bowled 2,000-seat arena. School was founded in 1917. They have 1,917 seats in the building. It's gorgeous. Absolutely one of the nicer buildings you'll ever see.
That doesn't sound very efficient.
What do you mean?
I just round it up to 2,000.
No, 1970. That's when the school was founded. So fun to meet Andy. Andy gave me a book by John Gordon called The Carpenter. And I'll have that thing read by 134 pages.
What is it about?
It's about having I don't know, maybe in your employment, the outlook of having let's see, it would be love, service, care. If you do those 3 things in your job, you'll put out a great product.
If you had to pick 2 of those 3.
Love and service, because I think love and care are very similar to one another.
That seems like kind of a cop-out answer, but that's okay. We'll go.
What about you? Which one would you pick out of those 3? He doesn't want to pick any of them.
Service.
He wants to pick none of them.
What were the options?
Not options. It was the 3 things that make a good craftsman.
The 3 wheels on a tricycle.
Love, what, and what?
Love, service, and care.
Oh, and Peter's trying to pick only one.
He only wants to pick one.
I'm going to pick service twice.
Service twice. There you go. So
no love.
I read most of the book. and I was hoping to finish it last night, but I left the book at the office. So I now have the book on my
before or after you got
I was-
locked in the kitchen.
Oh my gosh.
I was gonna say I feel like that was an opportune time to bring up the fact that you got locked in.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll get to that later. Can
We
we
will.
get to the office?
yeah,
we'll do all the office stuff later.
We'll finish the boys' high school things here.
Yep.
River Lakes, Nick Kepper.
Yep, I saw that.
Southwest Christian gets Hunter Warner.
Yep.
Breck is going to take Joe Diedzik. Minneapolis hires Chris Grassel.
Can I tell a quick Chris Grassel story?
Yeah, because I have no idea who this person is.
So Chris Grassel is a 2014 or 15 grad from Southwest. And true story. He is like a fifth-year senior in 2018-19 school year at Iowa State. And he is in the same fraternity as one Jake Zozel.
Oh, no.
And he played on the team because Chris went a full 5 years at Iowa State.
Yeah.
I think maybe, I don't know whatever he graduated with, but Jake just loved him. Absolutely. Like, Grassel did this and Grassel did that. And then he was playing on their intramural hockey team with them, and he just loved Grassel, just loved him.
Okay.
Fast forward to maybe a year or two later, Grassel's coaching the St. Louis Park Pee Wee Bees.
Okay.
Do you remember the year at the Gobbler when Jefferson backed out because of COVID the day of?
Yeah, and St. Louis Park filled in.
Chris Grassel saw the tweet that we needed a team, and he was the coach of that PWB team.
How about that?
And then eventually, I think he got into teaching in the Minneapolis Public Schools, got hooked on as the JV head coach for Joe Diedzik, and when Joe left, Chris got the job. Wonderful kid. I mean, I shouldn't say kid, but wonderful young man, really, really into coaching, really, really into Minneapolis hockey.
Well,
He'll do a great job there.
Got to be into Minneapolis hockey because that program is also about to embark on lean times.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's plenty of good players in Minneapolis. It just depends on where they decide to go to
I think
high
they're
school.
graduating a good group. Though.
Yes.
I think they're graduating some really key players.
Yes.
And we'll see what happens
Yep.
with the Minneapolis kids.
Yep. But he will be fired up. I will tell you that. He will infuse some enthusiasm in that program.
He's got to go to parade right now.
Yes.
Got to go to parade right now. He's got to make a call to the Minneapolis Bantam A head coach and try to meet all those players.
Correct.
As of right now, there's a name here, Jason.
You gotta get you haven't even hit the Eden Prairie one yet. That's the
no.
biggest
I'm leaving
one.
it for last.
Okay, all right.
We still have two more here. There's an initial NE. I'm trying to figure out what
for what.
Northern Edge. Jason here.
Really?
He's going to coach Northern Edge.
Okay.
And Steve Sabetti at Farmington.
That just one came in yesterday.
Yep. And Lincoln Nguyen.
I believe it's pronounced Win, but if you want to call it Nguyen, yeah, my brother Mike married a Win, and that's how it's pronounced.
Sorry, Lincoln. I apologize.
It could be pronounced that way, but
Lincoln,
NG is Win.
Lincoln Nguyen is the head coach, Eden Prairie High School.
Founder of Hawkeye Hockey, an advisory team, which I think is extremely interesting. Could we maybe talk about Mike Terwilliger stepping down? I think that is the most interesting. I think that's just as interesting, right? I mean, talk about a perfect. Like, I'm not saying Lincoln's not a perfect fit at Eden Prairie, because I think he'll do a great job. I think that he'll infuse some of that same enthusiasm that Grassel's going to have.
I don't know Lincoln.
Oh, I do. He's a great guy, really good guy, and he's going to do fantastic. But essentially, and Mike would never admit this publicly, but I've talked to several people in the Eden Prairie system, several, not one or two, like 7 or 8, maybe 9, 10, that have said Mike Terwilliger was wronged at Eden Prairie by the parents, and they basically ran him out of there. They gave him an ultimatum. You know, the athletic director gave him an ultimatum that you got to do these things in order to keep your job. I mean, here's a guy who's like so dedicated to the youth program, so dedicated to enriching players. I just thought that he had a job for life, in my opinion. You know, results aren't necessarily in wins and losses. Sometimes they're measured in other ways. And I thought that was wrong. I'll just say that publicly.
I have no idea what happened. Can't say I'm surprised.
No, never. You can never be too surprised in the Lake Conference, right? Where it's, I agree with you there. You can't be too surprised.
And I was a little surprised when I saw Wynn get hired just because I didn't know who he was. But the fact that he's listed on the Hawkeye Hockey Services website as the Director of Hockey Operations.
Yeah.
That he founded Hawkeye Hockey Services. An
much.
Advisory firm.
Yeah.
An advisor is another word
and
for...
development.
Advisor is another word for...
Agent.
I think that's a really interesting hire at the high school level.
It is interesting. No question about it.
This won't be borne out for another 5 or 6 years, but there's a really good crop of players coming through Eden Prairie's Bantams right now.
There is.
How many of those kids
are represented by? I don't think any of them are,
kids?
but maybe they all will become. I have no idea.
I don't know.
No idea.
I'm not
there's
saying,
some good ones too.
I'm not saying it should count against Lincoln. I just think it's a very interesting.
I agree.
hire.
I'm not going to disagree with that take.
And if you work for CAA or Octagon or Brisson,
I think Brisson works for CAA, but
who's the other one that I'm thinking of? Newport. Newport. That's
Newport,
the other one.
Wasserman.
I would make your phone calls now.
Yeah.
Because Lincoln is going to get first crack.
Yeah,
first crack at this Bantam AA group.
I honestly don't know how all of that works, to be honest with you.
I don't know how it all works either, but I could see
My understanding
a kid
is
playing for Lincoln.
Hawkeye is more on the advisement and not on the NHL. I don't think there's NHL agents within their group.
Okay.
So, but don't quote me on that. I have not read their website. I don't know that to be fact. I do know that he will be very vested in the program, and I have spoken to several people, again, multiple sources, that he is a fantastic coach and will do a great job at Eden Prairie, and that's really what we're looking for.
That's great. I've just never seen an advisory have such a prominent role at a high school program, and I mentioned to you before we started recording, somebody from CAA or Newport or Octagon ends up as an assistant on somebody's high school roster. Why wouldn't you?
Well, there are agents or have been agents before at the high school elite league.
Coaching.
Oh, yeah. So what's that? Not much different.
I can think of a couple
Not
off the top of my head.
2 of them off the top of my head. So
at the high school level, I haven't seen it yet. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. It could also backfire, too.
Yeah.
Because if they end up not liking him, then they might not use Hawkeye as their consulting service.
All right, what else you got?
That's all I got.
Did we put a wrap on it? I got a couple things.
We have a new office, which is cool.
Before we get to that, I got one more thing.
Okay.
I want to hear Kayla's. I'm sure you talked about it at length on your other show.
We did.
But I want to hear Kayla's take on playing hockey.
Oh,
you just talked earlier.
by the
like
way,
you're
to
gonna take
everyone
somebody
watching
out,
this, my
right?
camera died, so.
Oh, it did?
It just didn't die. It's just, this is the only one I put a 32 gigabyte chip in, so it's fine.
It's full.
So you can't see my face, which is unfortunate for you.
Very unfortunate.
What's my take on hockey?
I want to hear it.
It's very hard.
Thank you.
Correct.
I think I already knew that. I'm not a very good skater, so.
I thought you looked good.
Jossie makes things look so easy when she's like, here, everybody do this. And then she like skates flawlessly.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
She did play Division I hockey.
That looks pretty easy. And then you try it. And
it's hard.
It's just like 30 women falling on the ice. It's very fun. Everyone's super non-judgmental. It's like very.
Is Sam out there too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear her voice on the.
She's the one that's taking
team.
most of the videos.
Yeah, I can hear her voice in the background for sure. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you're enjoying it.
I am. It's very fun.
Now let's think of this as marketing. Okay, so WHAM is marketing by doing these beginners classes. Do you see yourself doing, a handful of these, or do you think you see yourself doing a handful of these and, hey, I want to maybe play in a league and dominate?
I would like to continue playing hockey in some aspect.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I don't know yet. because
We also got to look at the commitment too.
Well,
right?
that's the thing is a lot of them are on like Sundays too, which is not ideal.
There's a reason I don't play in a league.
Yeah, but it's not like it's mostly also my skill level. Like I want to get better at it before I start like committing to something.
My theory is if you do, let me know because I want to come out and shoot you.
Come out and shoot you.
Shoot you.
Yep.
Well,
photographically. I think I could shoot you with a dart and knock you down.
Probably.
Yeah.
I did fall for the first time twice. The last thing because
falling is real.
Well, she's like it's like different when you're just skating and you know you can try to stay up, but when she's like go down on one knee and get back up.
Those aren't fun.
Seems tough.
Very hard.
Those
I have
aren't
no
fun.
core strength either, so.
Yeah, you get that really quick. It's the lower back for me. Whenever I skate a lot, my lower back hurts because my core strength is weak. So then use your back.
It's interesting to actually play hockey because I'm like, wow. I mean, it makes me more impressed when I watch hockey. Also, I feel like I'm actually like a fairly athletic person. Like I play a lot of sports, but like I've never felt so unathletic in my life.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Like normally I can try any sport
and be fine,
and
right?
be okay at it, and I'm just.
But ice hockey is no joke.
No,
it is no.
It's
joke.
got the one separator of all
skating.
sports. It's skating.
Skating.
It is not easy. It is not easy. Well, triathletes, you have to be able to swim too. So.
Yeah,
that's like a natural human movement.
I can.
No,
swim,
I'm telling
though.
you, people. When I did triathlons, I go, I'm doing a triathlon. I'd be like, oh my god, I love that. I can't do the swimming.
Yeah,
There'd be so many people would say they wouldn't do it because of the swimming.
A lot of my friends can't swim very well. Like that's a hard skill.
Yeah.
Everybody should learn how to swim.
I know.
It could be the difference between life and death.
Peter, people can swim. People cannot swim far though.
Yeah.
Like swimming is a really hard work.
It actually became my best event of the three.
Yeah.
I thought running would be my better one, but man, swimming became good.
I hate running.
Biking was my worst by far.
Biking's also hard.
I mean, obviously it's the easiest skill,
Just
but man, it was doing 50 miles on a bike.
Well,
came.
I mean, good luck with that. I'm not trying to be the best at exercising.
Okay, let's talk about.
Nobody
the
else
office.
here has seen Eastbound and Down.
No, I just thought that was funny.
No,
dang,
that's funny.
This guy is telling Kenny Powers about training for a triathlon. He says, "No, I play real sports. I'm trying to be the best at exercising."
That's good.
I highly recommend it. Eastbound and Down.
Is that what the Kenny Powers show is? Yeah, I didn't. Someone made a Kenny Powers reference to something else recently. I didn't know.
It is like every other Danny McBride show, just like the Righteous Gemstones. It has some of the funniest moments that I've ever seen on a TV screen.
Probably awkward,
and then
too.
some episodes, I'm just like, this is awful, and I hate it.
So dumb.
Yeah.
But there are some episodes of Eastbound and Down where I capitulate.
Come on,
No.
you have a better vocabulary than that.
I do.
You
I didn't
pee your
take the
pants.
essay. I don't pee my pants.
Here we go.
I don't pee my pants anymore. Boy, that was a rough week. Convulse with laughter. Convulse.
There we
was
go.
the word.
Convulse
That
with
was the
laughter.
word.
I like that. All right. Are we moving on to the office?
We're moving on for the next 5 minutes. I have to leave.
We're good. Let's office be done.
We're in the new office. There's some stuff sticking out of the chairs.
Yeah, I got that stick. No, mine got cut off.
Mine did not get cut off.
All right.
Sorry.
Peter, Kayla, I'd like to hear your take on the new office so far.
Very nice.
Doesn't feel like home quite yet,
Still smells like paint a little.
which is fine. I like it better.
Well, who couldn't like it better?
For one thing, you can control the temperature in the actual office instead of
Yeah.
just hoping that the building
Correct.
doesn't crank it.
Yeah, we had 89. I would say it was somewhere between 59 and 89 degrees in our old office.
It was rough.
Yeah,
Some days I'd
very
be
random.
freezing, and some days I'd be.
Yeah.
I remember wearing a golf shirt to many of the winter podcasts this year because I knew underneath my hoodie or whatever, I'm like, okay, because I got to be prepared for 89 degrees.
Uh-huh.
It was that bad.
They do not have a beverage vending machine.
Oh, just food, huh?
It's just snacks downstairs.
All right.
It very reasonably priced snacks, though. The fruit snacks are only $1.75, which is pretty good.
All right.
But there's no beverages downstairs. I don't know the area as well as I knew the other area, so I knew
take some time.
I knew how far
harder
Jimmy
for
Jones
Peter and
was.
I to get here.
It's true. 494.
Harder,
dude.
yes.
494.
It is harder.
494 is
You guys
the
live east, so it
worst
is
Yes,
harder.
right now.
it sucks.
494 is
Awful.
terrible. I love the new kitchen. We have
Yep.
a sink. We
Yeah.
have a blender for shakes. We have pizza ovens. We have all the stuff, and we can all do business in a really nice kitchen.
The space is so good too. Like it's so much more spacious.
Yeah, we have way more space for everything.
You can't see everybody.
That's a little tricky.
Well, I think it's kind of nice, though.
This room,
I
just
feel
so
like you can kind of see everybody.
we are not
here?
fully built out in here yet.
Oh, I could never see anyone from the podcast
No.
room,
Oh.
so I guess I wasn't thinking about
No, I'm just
that.
saying the podcast, the studio is a little
Distant.
further away from the hub
Yeah.
of everything.
You
So
can't hear people talking.
yeah, Sharon
Yeah.
doesn't have to listen to us yelling into microphones for hours and hours.
Probably good for her.
So
yeah, for her mental health.
and there's a
yes.
reason for that. This room, if you looked in the ceiling, we have a soundproof ceilings. All the walls, when we ripped out all the walls for this room, we put on all soundproofing.
Oh,
It'll be
cool.
almost impossible. We brought in an acoustic guy to make sure that everything was acoustically as sound as we possibly can for the room. And
Oh, nice.
so that's good. Obviously, we can fit with a double room like we have now. I'll explain to people we have 2 rooms in one. We're in a 2-seater right here, and we have a 3-seater on the other side of the room. So depending on the situation, we can go 2 seats or 3 seats. When we have a coach in the room, we have a player come in, we'll be sitting over there, and we're sitting here for our normal pods. So Peter and I will be here for our pods. Danny and I will be here. You and Jossie will be here in the 2-seater. And then when we have to go to 3, we'll go to the other side of the room, and we'll have cameras that will just flip. And that part of our equation has yet to be solved.
It hasn't happened yet.
We're very close. We're still on old cameras, old mic stands, old everything. That's why we're holding our mics in our hand right now. But that'll all be fixed here in the next 6 weeks, don't you think, Kayla?
Yeah.
6
But
weeks.
we will be pumping out some pods this summer, I think. You have
I mean,
6
we
weeks.
are literally pumping out like 4 in like the next 4 days. So.
Right. Yeah, but we have another one
Super
coming
fun.
up
Got
next
another
week.
one on Monday.
On
That's
Monday
what I was
we
adding
have
that one
yeah,
in.
we have another one coming up Monday, which will be Sydney Wolf will come in and do a.
And then we have another one on Monday.
Well, yeah, you have a you have
so 5.
Solomon coming in, don't you?
Brent.
Solomon.
Oh, I thought you said solo mom for a second.
Yeah, so-
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
No, I do not.
He is a
have,
solo mom.
like, just a,
Brent, he dresses like a solo mom, that's for sure.
oh my god.
Do you realize how bad he roasted me?
Brentworth T. Solomon.
Yeah,
will be here on
he
Monday.
roasted me so bad. I have
roasted you?
years of roasting yet to come from Mr. Solomon. So
That should be a good one. He'll be a little bit of a different interview because the 3 guys that we've interviewed they've been invited to the combine. They are virtual locks to be selected, and it's no knock on Brent. He's just not a top 60 North America guy. So it'll be interesting to get his. I'll be curious to see what his process looks like compared to Maceo Phillips and Jacob Rombach and Logan Hensler.
And those 3 kids did really well in your pods.
They did. They did
He
a
will
fantastic job.
Eclipse them all. He is extremely comfortable with a microphone in his
I don't
face.
think he'll be able to eclipse them though.
I think he will.
Maceo's 6'6".
No, not
Jacob is
height-wise.
6'6".
Not height-wise. I'm talking about his ability
Logan
to,
is 6
to
something.
communicate. He was one of the better ones, even though most of his communicating was ripping me, but he was good.
That's okay.
Really
He
good.
can rip me too. It's fine.
I loved him. Good kid. Really good kid.
You got anything else you want to tack
I
on
got
here?
nothing else. Fun to do a pod. We'll do another one probably after the July girls run. You're going to Vegas, and I'll be in Park City.
I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to start sending
after
my
the June,
exploratory
July,
emails.
we have two camps coming up. We got NAIF coming up. We have a lot of girls hockey. Well, only boys hockey we have is the boys camp at the U.
Level with me. Is it NAIF or NAIFs?
It is NAIF. I don't care. NAIF.
North American Female Elite.
Yep, that's the way it's called.
It's just NAIF.
A lot of people say NAIFs, but it is NAIF.
It's just NAIF. All right,
There it
good
is. Should be a fun week next week. I can't wait to see everybody from Canada, Boston, and everywhere in between. It should be a good week.
Western
to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. Cause it get cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota. Need to stay up out the